Welcome to the Red Shirt Podcast with your hosts, Vernon and Nigel. The Red Shirt Podcast, by Reds, for Reds.
Hello and welcome to this week's Red Shirt Podcast. Unfortunately, we've decided to reschedule this week's podcast, and instead of doing our 1999 Champions League review away at the Nou Camp, the 3-3 draw with Barcelona, we've decided to concentrate on England's loss in the final of the 2020 European Championships, after the racist abuse that three players received after they missed the penalties: Sancho, Saka and Marcus Rashford. The Red Shirt Podcast continues with its fight against racism. Please unite with us and help us kick this out.
Nigel, how are you doing? Coming to you today, and it's a strange day. And to say it's a flat day is a bit of an understatement, isn't it, Nigel?
It certainly is. Do you know what I found? I mean, we'll get into this, but it was such a fascinating and interesting. I think the whole tournament's been fascinating and interesting, and obviously the culmination last night is something that we should talk about, and obviously the fallout this morning is something that we should definitely talk about.
Have to talk about.
Yeah, so it's just. We live in strange times. We've had the Euros, England doing well. We've got Brexit, and we've got the COVID situation, and it's all just. It's like you're right. Let's get into this. Let's get into it.
But without further ado, we have to introduce our guest, and one of our favourites is our good friend Anif, Old Trafford legend.
Are we still calling him a guest?
Well, I'd say he's one of our panelists. Don't you? He's a part of the programme.
That's right.
I got the shine.
Exactly.
Thanks.
Anif, good to see you. It's always a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you.
You always bring a great level of energy and a great level of direction to the show. So it's always a pleasure to have you on. First of all, we're going to talk about the Euros. First of all, is Gareth Southgate the manager, the man? And how do you think he's come across to the nation? So I'm going to start with you, Anif, if that's okay.
I think you got to remember what we had before. We had Hodgson, Allardyce, so come on, putting them up against all of them, I feel, he's far better. I think, the word galvanised has been good. He's galvanised a team that has then gone on to somewhat bring a broken nation. I don't want to say completely broken, but pulled a country together behind something, a possibility. I mean, and let's be honest, because we hoped we could kind of do well in this, and then we've done really well, and then we're upset because we didn't get the whole pie. But you know what? I think we got something else. I think we got to see what we as a country in its present form and format and how it looks, this country, and what it's been through can do when it comes together, and the right things are said that make us feel better, which is what I think Southgate and the boys did, especially as a black man in the UK. What I saw him stood up for, and what he got other players to stand up for, I thought was massively important. And truthfully, it's something I didn't kind of think I'd see in my lifetime, if I'm going to be honest. You know what I mean? For the way he faced off certain things, taking a knee and stuff, and just shutting that all down, getting the FA to come out and tell the UK, well, it's a symbol that's been around since the 18th century. You know what I mean? The FA are giving me history lessons in culture. You know what I mean? So I'm saying that's massive. You know what I mean? From Malcolm and Martin Luther King all the way up to Colin Kaepernick. You know what I mean? And stuff. So I think Southgate, for me, we're talking about tacticians and stuff. I think he's played youth, and I think he's done a great job. This thing that I think I would have liked to see more of, but you know what? You've got to balance it, because I always kind of think he knows if he would do absolutely what he wanted to do and and try them things, the press would be just on him.
Nigel.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously,
Gareth Southgate.
yeah, I agree with a lot of what Anif has said. He's a nice guy, isn't he? And
yeah,
and we know somebody else who's a nice guy, which is Ollie, and I think he brings everything that Ollie brings, which is he's not going to cause too much trouble for the FA. Yeah, I mean, notwithstanding he's stood up for some important issues, but that's because he's a nice guy and he's standing up for his players and supporting his players.
I think Southgate is another level above Ollie. I do.
I'm coming to it. Let's talk about it. But he's a nice guy, and I think, and compared to someone like Mancini, who's not a nice guy, and a Mancini will do whatever it takes to win his game of football. To win that game of football last night, he was prepared to do anything. And so it was no surprise when you started to see the dark arts, as they say, coming out. You know, the fouls, the rolling over, the screaming for everything, the badgering the referee. You know, football is more than just a skill, isn't it? It's more than just the tactics and the way you set up the team. It's actually what you're going to do in the game to win that game when you see it going away from you. And that's the difference between a Mancini and a Southgate. Same thing with Ollie.
Let's be honest though. Mancini's brought a different. That was good Italy. That we've seen Italy where they've been worse than that. Way worse than that. You know what I mean? A seagull flew over. Oh, you know, I'm dying. You know what I mean? I was that Italian team. To me, when I first saw, I thought they're going to do this. They look like Man City. What Mancini did at City, got them all moving quick, got on the ball. Remember, Italy would slow. You know, they kind of resorted to type after they maybe got a goal, but they were still on it. You know what I mean? But in terms of trying to work, it was like, this ain't Italy, I know. They're grafting.
I think there's a lot of parallels between Mancini and Gareth Southgate in that both of them came in and created almost like a club feel to their national teams. Mm-hmm. I think when you talk about the dark arts, I mean, that's just a cultural thing. And I think we're quite quick to jump on these things because I think as well, we've got to look at the penalty that we got in the semi-final. And I think if that had been given against us, we would have been, you know, crying out and saying it was soft. But
no, but come on, man. There's levels to the dark arts, man. And I don't even like using the term because of it. Obviously, it has other connotations. But in terms of that, you know, I think there's levels to it. And Italy's showed us that's how you do it. If you want to win the game.
That's a cultural thing because I mean, that goes back to the days of Catenaccio, which it just basically means the ball, you know, defending. And basically that was introduced because the rich clubs got all the best players. So they went to a defensive game, and which was horrible, that I used to hate, basically because it was the only way that they could compete. Going back to Gareth Southgate, I've kind of been pretty impressed by him because I think you've got Gareth Southgate, the human being, and Gareth Southgate, the football coach. Now, Gareth Southgate, the human being, I was really impressed with. Just like Anif, and you said before, Nigel,
of course,
about the open letter to the England fans. That's the hardest thing that you can do because you're basically appealing to places in Britain that aren't multicultural. There's no ethnicity in it, you know, and saying, this is where we're going. We stand as one. We're going to be inclusive. We're going to be together. And this is the way that we march forward because you've got to understand, he's coming from a very conservative point of view. You know, he comes from middle-class England. You know, he was university educated as a footballer. So as a human being, this is a man that was able to connect with the masses, you know, and able to bring them on board. And this is our message. And like Anif said, the balance, because it's very difficult because there are people of the conservative press that wouldn't have liked what he was saying and the open letter. And then there's Gareth Southgate, the football coach. a man who probably the second best national coach in Europe now when it came to his tactics. You know, you got to say he got it wrong last night, but that's because we lost. And when you lose, you've got it wrong. So from that part, I've been pretty impressed by him.
Right, okay, so I mean, it's interesting the type of language you're using. You know, university educated. He's almost a bit of a politician, almost a bit of a, you know, he's not going to rock too many boats. He's a very lovely guy, very affable, you know, and you wonder, are these the attributes of an absolute winner? I like the guy, you know, I mean, I respect him and I'm very impressed by him. But does that win you European Championships? Does that win you the World Cup next year? You know, at some point you need to be ruthless, and obviously that team. I mean, obviously a revelation. We'll get into the players in a minute, but the young kid from Leeds is a revelation.
Phillips
from Rice partnership, amazing. But then for the final, I remember saying at the beginning, because of the Italy that we know, because we know that the Italy defenders, 36 and 34 years old, yeah, they're gonna be petrified of someone like a Sterling running at them, Sancho running at them, Rashford running at them. And this is the time where you got to go, I've got to be brave here. Yeah. So, yeah, but just to use your language, he's very methodical, very careful, maybe risk averse. I'm thinking, if that was, even if he put on all the kids last night, I know Foden was injured, but chuck them all on to run Italy ragged. Even if we'd lost 2-1, 3-1, I still would have dubbed my captain and say, you know what? I love the fact that you're ruthless.
And Anif, I mean, we've got to say, did he get the team right? Because let's be honest with you, they beat a very good Danish team in the semi-finals. That was a very good team.
I think the Danish team were potentially, to me, better than the Italian team. I think the Chiesa and Spinoza, I think they brought the Italians through. You know what I mean? But that back four, I agree with Nigel. I would have played it how we played it. And I think sometimes getting the early goal wasn't good for us. Because I know it sounds mad, but we didn't even get into a stride. You know, we play it round about, get it to Sterling and Shaw and, you know, and start hooking up. And that system didn't get going at all, truthfully. You know what I mean? And we didn't have anything really on the other side in terms of, we had Mount out there, you know what I mean? And I kind of think, well, you know, Mount again, you know, Saka was killing everybody when he was cutting in. You know what I mean? So to me, it was, okay, try it for a bit, but switch it up. You know what I mean? And then, you know, there's bits whereby I kind of think there's a time when we should have really changed up. Second half, you know, 60 minutes in, bang them on. You know what I mean? The Italians did it. It's standard practice. You know what I mean? And you know, and the thing is, in the past we'd fear because there would be a kind of lesser quality players, but we had actually better players even to come on potentially or equal to. You know what I mean? It wasn't that, you know, we had such a strong bench. It was, you know, a really rare time for the, you know, England. You know what I mean?
And sorry, Vernon, that's the thing that also occurred to me. You've never had a bench so strong. You've never had an England team all round. I mean, even the England defenders that weren't making it are all brilliant defenders. And I thought, gosh, Gareth, you've actually got the crop. You know, you've actually probably got the best squad in the whole tournament.
Right away through.
And we get to the final because you've got the best squad, but actually unleash them and see what happens.
You see, it's interesting because just before we go into the first goal, I've got to talk about the actual tournament itself, because I think that logistically it was unfair to some of the nations.
Yeah.
Logistically, you got to be honest. Yeah. 3 of the 4 teams that got to the semi-finals all played at home. They all played the majority of the games at home. You've got, like, you know, Denmark, who played a quarter-final in Baku in like 35-degree heat, and then had to like travel 3,000 miles and about 1,000 PCR tests to play against England. You know, Wales never played one game at home, and I think they've realised that this tournament was a logistical nightmare. You know, and just to let you guys know, and obviously the viewers, the next finals are in Germany, and I think it'll be a lot more settled then. So I think it'll be a lot more settled. The infrastructure will be good, and hopefully we would have gone past this pandemic.
Can I ask? Obviously, the pandemic was it was it set out to be kind of this multi-nation thing? Because, you know,
Yes, it was basically the actual Euros, the final should have been in Turkey, but Turkey couldn't afford them. But this was the brainchild of Michel Platini, because what had happened was, this was his gift to all the countries that voted him in. So places like Azerbaijan and all these countries that had never hosted finals, this was their gift, for votes. So this was his brainchild. But I'm going to take us to the start of the game, and I'm going to pretend. And what I'm going to ask you guys is how you saw England beating Italy and what they had to do. I know you said running at them at pace, Nigel. Anif, did you have the same idea strategically?
Well, to me, I thought we got wingers and attackers who could sit people down. You know what I mean? Sterling's horrendous. You know what I mean? You know, he will take out 3 players easy. Yeah. You know what I mean? To me, before the game, I thought the only one who's doing that on Italy, well, as I said, Spinoza and Chiesa. You know what I mean? And I thought, shut Chiesa down proper. I don't care, kick him up. If we have to take a red card in the game, you know what I mean? It might be worth it. But we had way more than they did in terms of upfront potential. And I don't get why we didn't get Saka on earlier. You know, truthfully. The other thing I'm going to say something controversial was I felt the fear of even taking Kane off, because I think sometimes his lack of speed hindered our front 2 feeders, you know what I mean, in terms of getting the ball across, because the thing is not there. You know what I mean? I think it was, I can't remember. There's a couple of ones where there's no one in the box, you know what I mean, and stuff. And it's kind of like, well, what do you do? Have you got to go and you got to hold it and pull back, or it was then trying to do the cutback? You know what I mean? Now the cutback, you know, you've got people, defenders coming back. You know what I mean? They're going to cut that out. And that happened too many times, you know, as opposed to whip it in and, you know, bang it in. So I do think we didn't really press hard on Italy's weakness, you know what I mean? Which were the two guys at the back, you know what I mean? And stuff.
I thought that Harry Kane earned his place in that final. I thought the semi-final against Denmark, I thought he played brilliantly. Even his technical skill, I'm like, I've not seen that before. Yeah. But then again, obviously I don't watch him week in and week out, but I'm like, actually, I can see why everyone's raving about it. Not the first time I thought, hang on a minute, this guy really is a player. So I thought he earned his right to play in the final and obviously stay in the final, because, you know, it only takes a moment sometimes, doesn't it? So I thought he was right.
The way that I saw the game going was exactly how we got the first goal. Was that Kane had to come back into a number 10 position, get the ball, because Jorginho, who's their best, you know, when it comes to midfield pairing, I thought Phillips and Rice were really good, but I always felt that Jorginho and Verratti were the
magic.
They were every game. Level. I was like, you know, you were kind of purring about them. And then we won the ball, because I thought that the battle to be won was Kane with Jorginho, who's their defensive midfielder. And we got the ball deep. He came into the number 10 position, and then the ball went wide. And then their wing backs were out of place. And then we got the cross over to the far post, and then it was Shaw, and he put it in. And I was a bit like you, Anif. I was thinking, this is like Croatia in the World Cup semi-final. Have we scored too soon? If Chiellini and Benici, if they were a part of the Roman Empire, they'd still be ruling now, wouldn't they?
Oh man, yeah. I mean, the crucifixions every week with those two, I tell you.
And it was funny, because what happened then was 2 things. Is they played themselves into the game, and England just went back and retreated 5 yards.
Protecting the
lead and looking to
that's the thing. When they retreated, I actually thought, oh, okay, we're doing an Ollie here. I'm hoping this is counter attack football here. So we'll soak up the pressure, hit them on the break. But there was no outlet, because even Kane was retreating. I'm thinking, well, this is not counter-attacking football, so are you really trying to protect your 1-0 lead from 15 minutes into this game.
Well, I'm going to tell you. Well, one thing I noticed was what's the goalkeeper's name for England? And
Pickford.
Pickford. Sorry, yeah. Kicking long, which I liked kicking long, but he was, you saw the guy saying, "Give it to me." So is he saying, "I've not got confidence in you"? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To the guy, he was kicking long, so all he had was Kane going up. You know what I mean?
Mate, I'm so glad you raised that, because that's something I noticed as well, and I wondered. I tell you what, I wouldn't be surprised if Maguire is saying, "Don't pass it to me," because Maguire is that guy who doesn't want to get caught on the ball.
Well, we saw it, didn't he? He messed up. You know what I mean?
Not me, give it to somebody else, and so he's got no choice but to hit it long.
No,
so
I think what happened there was their front three was so high.
Pressing, yeah.
they were pressing high, but we're supposed to be able to beat a press. If they're pressing high, then obviously there's space in the midfield.
But then what happened after we got the first goal is they pressed high, but then if I take us back to the second half, so I'll take us to the second half because obviously we're winning. Before you do, big shout out to Luke Shaw, great goal, great finish, by the way.
Wow, mate!
And he's been our man of the tournament, and I'm so happy for all the accolades.
Where did that come from? You know what I mean? You see, there's still balls over near them Hong Kong chippy Luke Shawers, you know what I mean, and stuff, banging them all over the place. So in the edge, you know what I mean? And he nailed that so nice, you know what I mean? And before you go, sex thingy, Maguire, when did he turn into Zinedine Zidane trying to do his cut-through passes all the time? Mate, stop it! Just pass it left! Pass it left, man! You know what I mean? You're giving too much chest there, man.
The second half starts, and I don't know if you noticed, but Italy actually started 5 yards further forward, so the press was really on England. So Chiellini, Bonici, the back four were actually constantly in our half, weren't they? And England couldn't get out, could they?
No.
I
don't know about you guys, but there was an inevitability that the equaliser was coming, wasn't it?
So,
of course it did.
But see, that's interesting because there was a lot of press and there was a lot of possession by the Italians, but I always thought it broke down when at the crucial stage. I actually thought our defender had a measure of them. You see, they're great in midfield, great in defence. Their attack lineup, obviously, Kaiser. Was his name Kaiser, is it? The striker?
What happened?
He was good, but he needs some space to construct a goal. And I thought we had the measure of them.
Declan Rice was nailing him, you know what I mean? And stuff. Because he caught across, between Rice and Phillips, you know what I mean? Or just, putting block. But even then, at that, what you're saying there, Vernon, I saw 3 balls go up the middle, right? And if we'd have had a speed merchant, Italy would have been dead. Absolutely dead. And what kept happening, it got the middle, and Kane would get it, and then he'd get it back off Kane. Or the other two would try and get it to Kane, you know what I mean? And he wasn't far enough forward, you know what I mean?
We could come to the equaliser, and I don't know about you guys, but it was coming, wasn't it?
You know it was coming. It was just sitting back. It felt like United. It just felt like United. You know what I mean? Think no. You know what I mean? They were going to get one. But the thing what was different is that you didn't believe that we couldn't go and score another one. You know what I mean? And stuff. And that's the thing about, and also that we had the bench to do it. But it was that we didn't get into our stride, and then we didn't make the changes early enough, which was the point of kind of frustration about last night.
I'll be honest with you. I mean, as equalisers go, it's really scruffy, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely scruffy. You know what I mean? Off-end goal.
Yeah, it was strange, wasn't it? Because Mount just didn't see the danger, didn't he? He just didn't react quick enough.
Didn't smell it.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, Pickford, I thought, made a really good save.
Yeah.
We just didn't react because, I mean, it's kind of funny because it was kind of like a Premier League English goal that they scored against us, wasn't it? A flick on. Yeah. It wasn't complicated, was it? It was a flick on at the near post.
Yeah. And
then they worked it back, didn't they? And then all of a sudden, and you're just thinking, that's been coming. And you kind of thought, they were galvanized anyway. but that gave them this energy, didn't it?
Scruffy goal, yeah.
Well, it's because we get, and you know what? This is because we gave off all the wrong signals.
Yeah.
We were retreating, and of course they're going to get gallant, and they're probably thinking, we've got them here, because mentally they've already lost in the Reds.
Yeah.
And so that's why I thought, you've got to chuck on the players, but he wouldn't do it.
I think that's the thing, isn't it? Because I think what I would say about this team, I think that England's golden generation under Ericsson was better individually as players. They were better.
Yeah.
I think what this has got as a team is collectively they're stronger as a unit. You know, it's a collective unit, this team. Sterling's not in the class of, say, for instance, Beckham, but what he is collectively, or say, for instance, Declan Rice isn't a Gerrard and Phillips isn't a Scholes. And we can say that they're different players.
Yeah.
But you'd say that up front we haven't got a Michael Owen. You know, but what we've got is a collective unit that in some of its all parts is much stronger than the golden generation.
Yeah, and obviously they're all so young. You got to remember that these are all just like teens or early 20s. The future absolutely looks bright for them. Yeah, but you made a comment before about how Italy's goal was very Premier-esque, and you got to remember it's Mancini. He was at City for years. You know what I mean? And so if anyone knows how to beat an English team, it's Mancini. And so that's what it looked like yesterday. I was like, he's got the measurables.
I mean, it's funny, wasn't it? Because you talk about the measurables, because a lot of people were thinking going into the final, Mancini versus Southgate, it was going to be a battle of the belts, wasn't it? You know, but it's kind of funny because I don't know about you guys, but after that equaliser went in, my heart sunk, and I thought there's only going to be one winner. If it goes to penalties, if it goes to extra time, or in the 90 minutes, I couldn't, like you, and I couldn't see us getting that.
Well, but you know what they were going to do. We're going to get to extra time. You saw them back off. You know what I mean? And they're going for extra time. Thought, right, okay. Well, either we try and nick one in the last of the 90th, go hell for leather. You know what I mean? A bit and stuff, or it was then, right, okay, they were going to do the first half of extra time, everyone plays it safe, and then it's the second half of extra time. So basically allowing little time for anyone to mount a comeback, you know what I mean, and stuff. And, we didn't take advantage of the second half of extra time to me. That would have been where it was, let's go for it. I'd rather go for it then and lost rather than let's go for penalties, which is what it seemed we were doing, you know what I mean?
Do you think that penalties is the best way of deciding a competition, like football?
Nah, no. You know what? I'd rather every minute a player comes off the pitch, one from each side.
Nigel?
I'd rather something like that. Run your guts out. You know what I mean?
I love penalty shootouts. I can't lie. You know what? To be honest, I'd even get away with extra time, because if you're not doing it after 90 minutes, you're not going to. Very rarely you're going to do it after another half an hour. What's that going to do? So I love penalty shootouts, man. I do.
Well, they tried to introduce. Do you remember before
Golden.
that?
Yeah,
the golden goal. There was only one team ever that won in the golden goal. Do you know that? There was only one team ever that won in the golden goal.
Was that France?
Germany, 96. Oliver Bierhoff, golden goal.
No, there's been two. There's been a European one and a World Cup one. I'm sure France.
No World Cup one. Just one. Oliver Bierhoff.
You better go and check your facts, my friend.
In the Euros, there's only one that's won the Euros.
Or maybe the World. I'm saying there's a World Cup one as well. I'm sure. It might not have been a final. It might not have been a final, to be fair. But I remember a World Cup game.
Yeah, but it was funny because I'm gonna take us now. We're going through extra time, and you're kind of like you're in extra time now. It's 1-1. We've got into extra time, and I don't know about you guys, but I just could see the energy draining from the players, and I'm thinking you've got to make it. I know he brought Sacco on and he brought Henderson on, but I kind of felt that they didn't make any impact at all, did they?
Absolutely. Henderson, I don't tweet, but on some of my WhatsApp groups, I said Henderson's had zero impact, and I would sub him off.
Yeah.
Not for tactical reasons, other than it was crap. So sub him off. It was terrible.
He did get subbed, didn't he? Because obviously he can't take a penalty. But I mean, it was funny because I don't know about you guys, and I'm not going to talk about obviously, we'll talk about the penalties in a bit, but I kind of felt like Sacco, I kind of felt that obviously it was a bit too much for him actually playing in the final. I don't know if you noticed, apart from him being yanked back by Chiellini, which was terrible, but his passing was just all over the place, wasn't it? It was almost as if, it's like play the game, not the occasion.
Exactly.
And I think the occasion got too much for him, emotionally,
I think it was like that for quite a few of the players. Yeah, I mean, probably with the
we saw
exception
Maguire do loads of stray passes, you know what I mean, and stuff. And it was like, I think the Italians were willing to graft a lot harder, and we were just weren't making them connections, you know what I mean, as well. Because truthfully, Saka, I don't care about the passes. It was, I know he would legs off any of them man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we didn't get we didn't. I think we maybe got two goals. You know what I mean, and stuff. And we didn't get enough of that. You know what I mean? And that's why I kind of say, well, it would have been, who would have been in the box there with him? Would Kane would have been? I really would have wanted someone else. To go, even a Bellingham. You know what I mean? To have gone down the middle. You know what I mean?
I don't understand, actually, to be honest, how he always got to start ahead of Sancho. And it's quite obvious that Southgate didn't know what he had in Sancho, because Sancho is techie, he's fast, but he lifts his head up. There's a reason why you get most assists in Germany. It's because you're looking around. It means you got better vision of the game. And so I'm still at a loss as to how he never got a start ahead of him.
So, guys, it's 1-1, and you get to like 127 minutes, and you look to the bench, and he's bringing on Sancho and Rashford. Now, I was thinking to myself, one, this ball needs to go out because it hasn't been out for about 4 minutes, and they're not going to get on. And secondly, I thought, why have you wasted so much time of trying to bring them on now? They're not getting into the flow of the game. They're not going to get a touch, Do you think they brought him on? Because it was obviously he was bringing them on to take penalties, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Seems so. It was. It's too late to try and go and bag one. You know what I mean? It was to get non-penalty takers off. You know what I mean? Well, for them, sorry, penalty takers on more so non-penalty takers off. It's and I just that was a low point, truthfully.
It's a fatal mistake to bring somebody on with like 10 seconds to go.
Yeah.
You've not had a touch of the ball, you've not got a feel for the game. You've got to give them at least 5 minutes just to do a couple of sprints, get up to speed, touch that ball 2 or 3 times, so you've got a feel. You
get the legs going.
No, we all play football, so you know what a football is like. You need to get used to the football that you're kicking. You play football every day. You've got to get used to just the feel and the flow of the game. They were just brought on ice cold. It's like, what's happening here? It's like all common sense just went out of the window.
And then we get to the penalty shootout, and we kind of know how it goes from here, don't we, lads? Do you know? Because Rashford came on and he was actually playing as a right back, wasn't he, for a couple of minutes?
Yeah.
That was the only position he could get him into. So we get to the penalty shootout. And like I say, there's kind of like an inevitability of like what's going to happen, isn't there? Now, you get to, the Italy score the first one. We obviously, Kane comes up. He makes it 1-1. Barella comes up and he misses it. It's a good save from Pickford, isn't it? It's actually a great save from Pickford.
Yeah.
And then Harry Maguire hits a truly, a rocket of a penalty, wasn't it? I mean, that was made in Yorkshire, that pile driver, wasn't it?
I can't lie. I saw him walk up and I'm thinking, uh-oh.
What the heck? Yeah.
And then when he struck, I was like, well.
It's funny because
are my eyes deceiving me? Did Maguire just put that one plum in the top corner? It's great penalty.
I mean, my dad said to me as he's walking up, he just looked at me, Dad, with his stare. And you know my dad, don't you, Nigel? And he just looked at me staring.
He didn't have to say a word, his look says it all. And
he said, have you ever seen Harry Maguire take a penalty? And I said, no, Dad. And he went, neither have I.
We've got to get your dad on this show. He's brilliant.
It is. And then it's funny because then obviously they you know, Harry Maguire puts it in, and then they get one back. I think it was Bonucci, wasn't it? He took a beautiful penalty, didn't he? Where Pickford just couldn't get his arm up enough, could he, to get it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so close.
It was really good because what they say with penalties in a penalty shootout is if you hit it high, the goalkeeper can't save it, but you run the risk of it going over. If you hit it low and to the side netting, there's a good chance you'll score.
Yeah.
So high, goalkeeper can't get it, but there's a good chance it'll go over the top.
Yeah.
Low, you run the risk of the keeper saving it.
Yeah.
But, and this is where we come, because this is where the pain comes. And Rashford comes to take it. And Anif, can I just...
Yeah, but he does that every penalty. We know how he takes a penalty. You know what I mean? Everyone knows how he takes a penalty. You know, he's in these bits of Pogba does that. I can't remember. There's a couple of others who do that kind of, which way am I going to, you know what I mean? The stutter run, you know what I mean? The madness of it, I thought he sold the goalkeeper clean.
Correct.
It's him just pulling it, you know what I mean? And it was like, that was more agonising because it would have been, we would have said, what a brilliant penalty. Had it just glanced off the post and gone in. But it glanced off the post and came out.
Do you think he overthought it, was trying to be too precise? Because I think what he did, and I totally understand what you're saying there, because 9 times out of 10 in training, because that's this technique he would have been using in training, they go in, don't they? Every one of them's probably gone in. If you speak to any England player, they would probably say in an interview, every one of them went in.
Yeah, I think I thought you were going to say it actually, but as soon as he took the run up, I thought something's wrong here, because he just took about 10 seconds too long, which felt like 10 years. And so you knew that he hadn't made up his mind. And it's the golden rule of penalty taking. You make your mind, just become, and then go for it and welly it wherever you do. Or don't change your mind as you're running up to take the penalty. You could see that he was thinking about it and thinking about it. And yes, keeper was sold, but I don't think he had any conviction. And so, you know, it's all psychology at that level. And so, just from his run up, I thought, oh, he's going to miss this. I just knew he's going to miss it.
Well, in fairness, Donnarumma looked like a giant in those goals, didn't he?
Oh,
He looked like it. I mean, just a quick one. Do you know that Italy's number 2 keeper is his brother?
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah, that's his brother. If you ever look at the pictures, they're like, wow, that's his brother. I knew it was his brother, but they obviously then run up, you know, take theirs, and they go in a lead. And then it's Jadon Sancho, isn't it?
Well, just from when he came up, I thought, whoa, geez. And also, I don't like short run-ups. You know what I mean? His run-up was like, mate, you haven't got enough pace on that already. You know what I mean? So we know you and then also, if you do a run-up, you know what I mean? And then you think there's going to be some side footage in it. So your short run-up side footage, that means no power.
Right.
To me, you know what I mean? And it was, you know, it was easy for the goalkeeper, that one. It was.
And then I'll be honest with you. I mean, all 3 of them, you know, Rashford, Sancho, and then Saka. I'm thinking what I thought when Fred went up to it. You know, when United were playing against him. I'm sad I think, because I love Fred, and I know everyone like.
No, I like Fred. I think Fred's a grafter. I like Fred.
Please, Fred, please score, please. and I thought with the 3 England players, because of who they are, because of the stature, and let's be honest, because of the colour of their skin, I'm thinking you can't miss this added pressure. And so, I mean, I understand. People say, well, why didn't Raheem take one? I'm thinking, Raheem's not stupid. He's been around this setup long enough to know, actually play well in the game, do what you need to do, but there's no way you're going and take a penalty and pedal shit out.
He doesn't take penalties at City, does he? He doesn't take penalties at City.
Stay away from that nonsense.
He has in the past. I think the thing is with a penalty shootout, I mean, this is from a guy that's missed the important one in the semi-final. Do you know what I mean? In Wivenshaw Park. So I kind of know the pain they're going through. But the thing is with a penalty, it's a long walk. It is actually a long walk.
Yeah, they say it's the weirdest.
Yeah, and your mind is going through so many things. Where am I going to put it? Where am I going to place it? And I think where England got it wrong and where Italy got it right is the psychology of a penalty shootout. So you go back to 1990, you start off with your weakest player for Germany,
Right. Yeah.
and then you work gradually to the strongest player, your penalty taker. England let Harry Kane take it first.
Yeah.
Yeah. What they should have done was Kane should have taken the last one, because he would have been dealt. He would have been able to deal with the penalty. But what England were making sure was that the first one went in to take the pressure off them.
Yes.
So when a manager looks, and I've seen it myself, you look at a penalty shootout, you look at how many players are actually tying the shoelaces or rolling the socks down. They're not looking for eye contact. Because let's be honest with you, and I'm going to bring this up now, you know, if Grealish, Mason Mount, or Rice had missed the penalties, would they have got the backlash that's happening now?
No.
It's just, you know, what, you know, because I, like you, Nigel, knew the backlash, and we're going to go into the backlash now of what was going to happen. We knew, like you, Nigel, I was putting my head to my hands.
My missus was going mental, mate. Absolutely, she's still going mental about it now. She's going, oh no, it's going to be black this, black that, black. You know what I mean? It's going to be a wide arc, you know what I mean, and stuff. And you know, I didn't even put the radio on this morning, and I haven't even listened to the news, to be honest. Yeah, but yeah, we all.
Well, you won't be surprised to hear that all the players were racially abused, and that Twitter's gone crazy with insults to the players. And in fact, I don't go on social media that often, but somebody actually forwarded me some of the tweets. I want to say that, you know, as a father and as an adult, you're just so I was just fuming, thinking that, okay, I don't understand this. Why would you even go on social media if you know there's a risk you could see this kind of stuff? But these young people live on social media. I'm like, you're gonna open your phone and you're gonna see this nonsense now. And I was like, absolutely outrageous. They're not football fans. You know what I mean? They're barely human. It's just outrageous how somebody can do that. And then, of course, you get all the usual media saying, we've got to, you know, it's disgusting, it's outrageous, we stand as one. The government, I was horrified to hear that the government have said, oh, this is outrageous. I'm saying, hang on a minute, government, don't you dare, because you could do something about this right now. So don't join all the accolades or jump on a bandwagon and say, oh, this is terrible, something must be done. You've had an opportunity for the last 5 years, 10 years, in fact, to do something about this.
Well,
Nothing.
I totally agree with you, Nigel, because I look at sort of like, I woke up this morning and I kind of like shook myself off for it a little bit last night, because I kind of knew what was the barrage that was going to hit social media. And I wasn't, you know, I was disappointed. So I just thought I'd had a long day. I've been at work. I'd come home to enjoy the final. You've got to be sensible. There's got to be a winner and there's got to be a loser.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, this fate. And fate went against us. It wasn't our year. But in all honesty, from the start of the tournament to the end of the tournament, I think the best team won. So I can live with that. I can live with that.
The Red Shirt Podcast, by Reds, for Reds. Don't forget to like, follow and subscribe to the Red Shirt Podcast.